Hey guys, welcome back to the Sacred CEO Micropod. Today we're going to talk about something interesting, and I'm not sure, this is a new concept to me, may not be to you, but it was to me. We're going to talk about the importance of focusing on the why of our failure. I learned this concept very recently, but the understanding of it and really coming to grips with this concept helped me to understand why focusing on the why of failure helps to set me up for better success. I think you're going to enjoy the content of this one. Let's fire it up. Recently, my mentor and I, he's my teaching partner. We do a lot of events together, host a lot of retreats together. But he pours a lot into a lot of people, and I love the moments that I get to be with him and to talk life and to talk relationships, to talk business, whatever. We were sitting at the airport. We were getting ready to take a trip to fly out of town, and we were having a little dinner at the airport, and we were talking business. And I was telling him about a deal that I had on the table that I felt like was going to be super impactful for our company. I felt like we were going to be able to do a lot with this, and I was really disappointed because at the end of the year, I had talked to the leadership of the company. They were ready to go on board with us, and then found out later on that they were going a different direction and was doing some sort of the same thing with somebody else, somebody different. And I was a little disappointed, and I was sharing with him how the whole thing went down. And he's got unbelievable business acumen, and he can look at things and just find the problems and the solutions pretty darn quickly. And real quick, he said, well, here's what you did wrong. Here's where you failed and what you could have done differently. And in passing, he made this statement. He said, Doc, he said, you need to spend as much time focusing on the why of your failures as you do the joy of your successes. And I'm like, dude, hold up, man. I went to grab my phone. I'm like, I got to write this down. He said, yeah, it's a great concept. And he said, let me tell you why. He said, if you don't learn to focus on the why of your failures, he said, you are going to repeat those failures over and over again. And basically the concept was this, is that it's easy to take or to put your attention on all of the successes, on the things that you're doing right, where everything is working, on all of your strengths, on all of your accomplishments and acquisitions. But it's not very easy to do that when it comes to failure. Now, why is this? Well, because mentally and psychologically, nobody likes to embrace the reality of failure. We don't like to think about or remember or focus on or put our attention on those times that we didn't get it right. Or at least I know for me, it's a really difficult thing for me to do. So I have a tendency to blow past those things and be like, you know what, that didn't work, screw it, let's just throw it in the garbage, we'll do something else. But as I went back and I started to evaluate this, I was like, holy crap, man, I've taken that thing, picked it up, just like threw it in the garbage, said, forget it didn't work, and moved on, but found myself doing the same freaking thing again, just in a different context or a different way or in a different, within a different organization or a different idea. But basically the same tenements were there. I was doing the exact same thing. Again, you know the statements, not new to you, certainly not original to me, but doing the same thing over and over again and hoping it to be different is the definition of insanity. And so the concept is this, is how often do we take time to focus on the why of the failure? Not just that we failed. That's one thing. Like if you're focusing on that, the fact that we failed, that's where like guilt and condemnation and resentments, all that starts to come in and become a part of the narrative. We're not talking about that, right? We're talking about why. Not that I failed, but why did I fail? Why didn't that work? What did we do wrong? Or what didn't we do right in order for this to be successful? And when we start to focus on those things, what we can do is we can go back and we can sort of create a playbook, right? And by the way, let me just add, this becomes part of our legacy because I want to be able to lead other people or at least help other people who may be coming behind me that I'm influencing and impacting and saying, hey, let's not go this way because here's what happens if you do, right? Let me show you where I blew it. Let me show you my mistakes. Let me show you how that happened. But not just for the people coming behind us that we're leading, but for our future and where we're going. And as he said, if you don't know why you failed, you're going to repeat it over and over and over again. And so here's the encouragement as CEOs, leaders, executives. Let's not be so ashamed of failure or encompassed by guilt and condemnation or the resentment of failure that we miss a very important part of that failure, and that is why. Why did I fail? My kids often, and I would do this with my kids a lot. I never really put it together until recently. They would come to me and they'll say something like, "Hey, Dad, I made a mistake," or "Hey, Dad, I dropped the ball here, or I messed up." And I would say this over and over to them, over and over again. I would say, "I don't care that you blew it or that you messed up. That's irrelevant to me. What did you learn from it?" But we don't take that same approach with ourselves sometimes, right? Our inner dialogue, the way that we talk to ourselves, the way that we condemn ourselves, it's somewhat it's disgusting if you really were to be honest about it. I said this to somebody I was mentoring the other day. I said, if you talk to your friends the way that you talk to yourself, you'd probably have no friends at all. So let's build a new concept when it comes to failure and failing. We're not going to focus on the fact that we failed. Okay, we get it. We failed, right? That's condemnation. That's guilt. That's remorse. That's resentment, all that. We do want to take time to focus on the why. Why did I fail? What were the components involved? What were some of my behaviors? What were some of the patterns or things that are going on in me that led to that need to be evaluated, that I need to maybe change or shift or call an audible or do something different or bring somebody into the narrative because I thought I could do this on my own, but I realized that I couldn't. Whatever it is, journal it out. Write out the details. I went back and I went through that entire scenario after that conversation and said, here's what I did wrong. And I immediately started putting things in place to not make that mistake again or to revisit that again. You know, the Bible says that oftentimes the fool is like the dog that returns to his vomit. You ever seen that before? Like, just disgusting. A dog can gorge himself and eat and go vomit and throw up and then go back and like eat it all up again. Totally disgusting. But he says that's a great analogy of the fool. We just keep going back to the same thing over and over and doing the same stupid stuff over and over and over again. How do we avoid that? Focusing on the why of the failure. So here's the call to action. What's the last big failure that you had? What's the last stupid thing that you did? I don't want you to focus on that you did it. I want you to focus on why. What's the why behind the what? Journal it out. And then make some steps or take some steps or put some steps in place on how you're going to do it differently next time. Focusing on the why of the failure is how we set ourselves up for the successes that we're looking for, hoping to achieve. So the failures of yesterday can set us up and get us ready for the successes of tomorrow.